I can already feel the hate coming. But before you leave that really hateful comment in the comment section, why you think I'm stupid, think about my rankings and think about why you disagree, and tell me why in the comment section below why you think a certain fan base should be higher in my rankings. After I read all these comments, maybe I might update the video and change my rankings a little bit. You never know. So please comment down below what you think I have wrong on here, and maybe I might rethink it. At number 30, I have the Atlanta Hawks. And let's be honest here, their fan base has been done dirty throughout history. Their teams have been pretty good, but honestly they've fallen so short on so many different occasions that the fans just don't care anymore. They don't really care about their sports anymore in Atlanta. I'm sorry, but I gotta put them at number 30. At number 29, I have the Brooklyn Nets, and they're a team in a city that has two teams. So unfortunately they're the team with the lower viewership. And also, they isolated a lot of New Jersey fans because they moved to Brooklyn. So no one really in Brooklyn likes them. No one in Jersey likes them anymore. Unfortunately, the Knicks are the top team in New York, so the Brooklyn Nets are number 29. At number 28, I have the Los Angeles Clippers fan base. And once again, they're the second team LA. They really don't have any fans. The Lakers have most of the fans. The Clippers' only fan really is just Steve Ballmer. He gets really hype, but unfortunately no one else comes to the games. No one else really cares about the Clippers. At number 27, I have the Orlando Magic fan base. And when people go to Orlando, they mostly just go to Disney World. They don't really go to Magic games. And plus, the old people that actually live in that part of Florida, they don't really care about basketball. They more watch football and stuff. And the South overall just doesn't really care about basketball. At number 26, I have the Memphis Grizzlies fan base, and it's because there's a lot of better things to do in Memphis. Like, I heard their barbecue's really delicious. Never been there, but I heard it's delicious. No one really cares about the Grizzlies there. No one really watches basketball. They're a team that came from Vancouver, and they don't really have a strong fan base in Memphis, so that's why I have them at 26. At number 25, I have the New Orleans Pelicans, and New Orleans really is basically just a football town. They don't care about basketball as much. They watch the Pelicans a little bit, but the Saints are the top dog in New Orleans. So that's why I have the New Orleans Pelicans fan base ranked at number 25. Unfortunately, at number 24, I have the Phoenix Suns fan base. And the Suns were good at one point, but they've been bad for so many years, and they don't look like they're getting any better anytime soon, that I'm sure most of the fans just left. They've forgotten about the team. It's very sad. They were once a great team, but not anymore. That's why I have them at number 24. At number 23, I have the Charlotte Hornets fan base, and I think the only fans that really go to their games are people who want to see Michael Jordan. Although he's the shell of himself, he's not really a good basketball player anymore. He's just the owner. He gambles a lot, drinks a lot, which I respect, but that's the only reason Hornets fans really go to games. At number 22, I have the Washington Wizards fan base. And they're just an ordinary town. They go to games occasionally. Some people go, some people don't. It's mostly a historic city, so there's other things to do in the city itself instead of going to a Washington Wizards game. They've never been really that great either, so that's why I have them at the number 22 spot. At number 21, I have the Indiana Pacers fan base. And you'd think because it's Indiana, they would love basketball and all, but unfortunately, the Indiana Pacers are not the Indiana Hoosiers. They love college basketball there, not as much NBA, so that's why I have to put them at the number 21 spot. At number 20, I have the Detroit Pistons. And let's be real here, no fan of the Pistons really cares about them because they haven't really been good since 2004. I mean, these teams are pretty mediocre, so I'm sure they have a solid core, but overall, fans don't really care about the Pistons, so that's why I have them at number 20. At the number 19 spot, I have the Miami Heat fans. Remember when they all left early in Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Finals? They had a great team, probably one of the best teams in NBA history, and the fans don't care. They just left. Most of Miami is just influencers and famous people that just go there for vacation. No one really wants to go to a Heat game, so that's why I have them at the 19th spot. At the number 18 spot, I have the Nuggets fan base. And that's because some of them go to games, but a lot of people forget to go. They're all just smoking weed. A lot of weed smoking there in Colorado, so they forget about it. They don't really care about their team as much, but they're doing good this year, so let's hope we can keep it up. They might move up on the rankings. At number 17, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it's really tough to be a Timberwolves fan. Kevin Garnett left, Kevin Love left, Jimmy Butler left, Like, no one really wants to play there. It's very unfortunate. So I'm surprised that there's still fans at all there. But they have a fan base, small one, but it's just tough. So that's why I have them at the 17th spot. At number 16, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers fans. And I put them here because they're pretty humble. They never really expected anything, even with LeBron there. And you got to give it to them. They're pretty good fans for their mediocre team throughout history. So I put them at the number 16 spot for that reason. At number 15, I have the Sacramento Kings fan base. And the Sacramento Kings play in a small city compared to other NBA towns. But they have a strong core and a strong fan base. And with a growing group of players, I expect them to have a pretty big fan base in the future. Now I have the Utah Jazz fan base at the number 14 spot because they're a small, passionate, but yet racist fan base. There's been many stories about fans yelling racial slurs at players and all, and that's not really a good look, so that's why I have them at the 14th spot. They could have been higher if that wasn't such a big deal. Now at number 13, I have the Boston Celtics fan base because, like the Jazz, they are passionate and racist. The only reason they're higher is because they're a larger fan base. Once again, there's a lot of stories coming out of the Garden for fans heckling at players, racial slurs, and Boston's just pretty well known for having some racist tendencies. So that's why I have to put them at the number 13 spot. This is probably really controversial, but you got to do it. At number 12, I have the Lakers fan base. Now I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking, wow, this dude, he's pretty dumb. But here's my reasoning for it. Most Lakers fans aren't real Lakers fans. They're mostly fans of like Kareem, Magic, Kobe, or in this case LeBron now. No one's really a diehard Lakers fan. They're just fans of players. So that's why I have to put the Lakers at the number 12 spot. At number 11, I have the Golden State Warriors fan base. Because, let's be honest, everyone that's a Warriors fan is a bandwagon fan. A few years ago, before this whole dynasty thing happened, there were some genuine Warriors fans, but now, most likely, if you're a Warriors fan, you're a bandwagon fan, and you just don't really know basketball. So that's why I have to put the Warriors at number 11. At number 10, I have the Milwaukee Bucks fan base, and that's because their fans pretty much only care when the team's good. They really back Giannis right now, but if the team wasn't that good, no one would really come. So that's why I put the Bucks at number 10, but overall, they're a good fan base. At number 9, I have the Houston Rockets fan base, and that's because they're kind of like the Southern Trailblazers. They have a pretty good friendship going, and they're pretty passionate for the team, and they also love Harden. So they ride and die with James Harden. If he chokes in the playoffs again, they're still going to love him, but they ride and die with Harden. At number 8, I have the Philadelphia 76ers fan base. Now, I might be biased, but they're some of the most passionate fans in the world. They lived through the process. They knew their team was going to be really bad for several years, but they knew it was worth it because they want to see their Sixers win a championship. They're very passionate, extremely passionate, and sometimes that's to a fault, like many media members across the country have talked about, but they are extremely passionate. That's why I have them at the number 8 spot. At number 7, I have the San Antonio Spurs fan base, and that's because they've had 2 decades full of just winning basketball, and over that time, you're going to just build up a huge fan base. So that's what they have. The Tim Duncan era and just the top 3 guys that they had there, and then with Kawhi and David Robinson and everything, they've just been so good for so many years. That's why they have such a big fan base and such a popular one. At number 6, I have the Portland Trailblazers fan base, and let's go over to Game of Zones to explain why.
Unlike you, I have 2 good Achilles and friends.
We got your back.
How do you like my sauce now, bitch?
What a fellowship you all have. Almost makes up for the lack of rings.
The Lord of Light, hearted locker room chemistry, smiles upon our brotherhood.
And number 5, it's the Toronto Raptors fan base, because they have the whole country of Canada around them. There's no other real team in Canada that plays in the NBA, so the whole country has to root for the Toronto Raptors. So that's why their fan base is number 5, just because of the sheer size. At number 4, I have the Dallas Mavericks, because surprisingly, which really surprised me, they have a huge fan attendance, and a lot of fans go to their games. They all support Dirk. They all love their European players, now with Kristaps and Luka. So with that, they're a pretty good fan base, and that's why I have them at number 4 in the top 5. At number 3, we have the New York Knicks fan base, and that's because of their huge size. They all go to the games. They all bond together by hating James Dolan, and unfortunately, they've had a pretty rough history with regards to basketball in the recent years, but they're still diehard fans, and they still go to their games. At number 2, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder fan base, and you can just tell how passionate they are. They always sell out their arena every game. They all wear the shirts during playoff time. They all surprisingly support Russell Westbrook, even though he's pretty inefficient. They basically just ride and die with the team, and you can't blame them. That's like their only professional franchise from the 4 major sports, so that's why they're at number 2. At number 1, we have the Chicago Bulls fan base, and they have such high attendance. I know they're in a big city, but they're in the middle of a tank, and the fans still go to the games. I don't know if it's just fans from the Michael Jordan era or before that, but people just go to the games, people love the team, and the Bulls are huge in Chicago. So that's why they're the number 1 spot on my rankings.